Hello, welcome to my animated theory video series. Today we'll be talking about Ferdinand Saussure and structural linguistics. Now, all of this is based in his book, Course in General Linguistics, which was published posthumously in 1916 by some of his students who had taken his course. And here are some of the basic principles of structural linguistics. So one, study the language as a structure, for which his term is long, and not as an individual utterance, which is parole. Study language synchronically and not diachronically. I will explain this later. And that the sign is arbitrary but gets fixed through custom and convention. That the sign itself, let's say when I say tree, is not natural. The sign comprises a signifier, a signified, and a referent. Signs mean something through difference from other signs, and signs have a paradigmatic and a syntagmatic axis, and signs arrayed in a sequence constitute a semiotic or a semiological chain. Now keep these basic principles in mind. We will explain them further, but these are important. First of all, language as a structure. Language is conceived as a self-contained, self-regulating semiotic system whose elements are defined by their relationship to other elements within the system. We should study the structure of the language, the long, because an individual utterance, the parole, can only be understood within a structure. Simplest example, if you find a cloth arm of a shirt, the only reason you know it's belongs to a shirt is because you can imagine the structure of a shirt. So that means that utterance is defined by the structure. Now coming to the synchronic and diachronic study of language. Synchronic is when language is studied as a system at a particular time, and that is structuralism. Diachronic comes from philology, and that is languages studied over time, when people used to study how a language came to be, how did it develop, the history of linguistic development. So synchronic way of studying language is what structuralists believe, what Saussure believed himself. And that's an important distinction to make. The sign, how Saussure describes the sign. The sign has two main parts, the signifier and the signified, and then a referent. The signifier is the sound that you make or what you inscribe on a paper. The signified is the concept that is formed in your head. And the referent in most of the cases is the real thing in the world that the sign refers to. But most of the time, Saussure himself kind of doesn't focus much on the reference. He mostly focuses on the signifier and the signified, and it's important to understand that structure of the sign, that it has two sides. Meaning is differential. Signs don't have substantial meanings. Signs mean something in difference from other signs. So substantial meaning that the sign doesn't contain its own meaning. We only know that it is a cat because it is not something else. And that's a crucial insight, because when you go to deconstruction, the idea that the meaning doesn't reside in the sign itself, but resides in difference, is really important. So a cat is a cat because it is not a dog. Now, in its extreme form, this has a binaristic structure: good, bad, civilized, uncivilized, white, black, and those binaries play a huge role in the imperial aspect of language. And then the language works, the way the words are arrayed in a semiotic chain works on two axes: the paradigmatic axis and the syntagmatic axis. The syntagmatic axis is in which the placing of the sign cannot be changed. The man cried. But on the paradigmatic plane, anything can place a sign within a semiological chain, within a semiotic chain. So if you look at the diagram, it should be clear. Now here are the people that I have taken some materials from. The source picture from Saussure is listed there, and the picture of the paradigmatic materials. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks you so much for visiting my channel. As always, I'm grateful, and peace and love.